What's up YouTube? I'm Joe and you're watching my channel Ink&Iron, and what you're looking at is my Leatherman Wave. This is the Generation 2, the quote new wave end quote. This one is pretty rusty, got it off eBay. Just giving you a little taste of how much rust is actually covering this thing. The action is bad, the plier heads, especially around the pivot and the cutting jaws there, are very rusty. And some of the tools are rusty as well, especially the knives have quite a bit caked up on there. But if I don't give you this good, thorough look beforehand, you might not believe how much of this rust is actually going to disappear in the course of this video. So let me show you the product I'm using. It's called Evapo Rust, and its color is supposed to be similar to that yellow-green on the label. Mine is more rust-colored because it has cleaned, probably about 24 tools or so. And the way I'm putting these tools next to each other in a container, they both need to be derusted, and this helps save on the volume of Evaporust that you need to use. You just go ahead and pour it in, put the cap on, and then seal whatever container you've put the Evaporust and the rusty part in. This will help ensure that it doesn't just evaporate off before it's done doing its job. And then I went ahead and put a date and time so I could know how long this took. I decided to add the rest of the Evaporust because it wasn't working super well. It is a bit worn out. This jug is a few months old, so probably time to replace it. Pulling this tool out right now is 29 hours later. My go-to amount is usually 24, so the fact that I gave it a few more hours and that it took a few more hours is proof that my Evaporust is a bit worn out. When your part is done, take it out and just scrub off the rust with a stiff bristled brush. I like a toothbrush. You could use a brass brush or a steel brush or something more heavy duty, but I like to use a toothbrush so that way I know how much progress I've made. You'll see as I rub some of it that rust comes off. It sort of sheds a orange-brown color. I think you can see it right here. Yeah, there you go. That is a good sign. We want this red-brown rust to actually be removed from the tool. So I dip it in the Evaporust and make sure that it's rinsed off the tool thoroughly, and we should be left with just a little bit of black rust. That is the goal here. There will always be a little bit of black rust and pitting if the steel itself got pitted in the process of rusting, and that's fine. It's not going to spread. In my experience, the red-brown rust spreads to the rest of the tool and becomes a big problem. The black rust, not so much. And here we go. I'm just going to open it up and show you the internals. Since the pliers were so bad, the action is still bad, possibly worse. But there you go. You can see quite a bit of derusting happening. We've gotten down to a lot of shiny steel. The wire cutters look significantly better. And the only orange rust that is on there just needs to be scrubbed off. This process might seem tedious, but trust me, this is much easier than taking the tool with a steel brush and simply trying to scrub all of the rust off of it. The Evaporust saves you probably 98% of the time investment required to get rid of this level of rust. And I really can't recommend it enough. It's a safe product. You don't even need to wear gloves when you handle it. Simply wash your tools and your hands after you use it. Here we are back at my desk. So these tools have been derusted. They are here in my little bundle of joy. So, sorry for the dirty rag, but we're gonna need it here in the next step. So, all right, I haven't even washed these clean of the Evapo Rust. So they're still a little sticky almost. Has a very weird feel to it. But as we can see, all that rust that was bright red is now sort of a dark black color, and that is what we want to see. That means all that red rust has come off. It's going to leave us with maybe some pitting, maybe some black rust, but nothing that's going to continue to spread. So anything that's remaining, we can just kind of scrub off. We may encounter some, leftover remnants of whatever the heck was, all over this thing that made it rust in the first place. But for the most part, we're looking a lot cleaner. The action of the plier slip joint, like that, disengaging that part right there, feels horrendous now, and I'm not sure why. It may have been like that. I do have a technique for breaking that in, but that's beyond the scope of this particular video. We were just trying to de-rust. So let's clean these up. I'm going to use my little cup here and just some 91% alcohol. If I run out of this, because I don't have too much, I'll just use 70, I forget what my other container is, 70 something percent. The highest percentage of isopropyl alcohol you can get is recommended because you want as little water as possible going into this cleaning process. So I like to do a little bit at a time. I don't like to spill a bunch of chemicals all at once if I don't have to. So yeah, I'm going to do this on high-speed time-lapse so that you don't have to watch the whole thing. But yeah, you're looking at the process, just kind of basting it with alcohol and then blotting it out on the dirty rag here. So let's do this for a couple minutes. We just have some spots of black rust here and there, but mostly right now it just needs lubricant. And that is something we can handle for sure. With high proof isopropyl alcohol, it's okay to just kind of let the tools sit and dry out. If you have an air compressor, obviously blow it out. It'll be dry in 30 seconds. For me, I am at home currently, don't have access to an air compressor here, so just gonna let them air dry. It's really not a huge deal. As you could see, I worked some of the pivots after, soak them in alcohol and then work some of the pivots in the high-speed time lapse. That is just an effort to clear out grit and stuff I was feeling while cleaning this thing out. And by the way, did you catch a glimpse of the scissors? Because they have come a long way from being a rust bucket. Look at that. We just have a little bit left right here, and it is much darker, less red rust than it was before. So for stuff like this, for finishing touches, I like to pull out one of these. This is a steel brush. You can get a pack with a steel brush, a brass brush, and a nylon brush at your local big box tool supply store. These do come in handy quite a bit if you have hobbies of almost any kind. Definitely ones that involve metal and restoring of parts and finish. But yeah, we're just going to take this steel brush, just brush this spot a couple of times. And yeah, that knocks it back to almost completely gone. If we take a little more time at it. That's as far as I'm going to go. Just a bit of a shadow of old rust. I don't really mind that much. But if you're picky, you can work at this stuff all day. I do recommend the Evaporust as a first step. It saves a lot of time and effort, and especially in these sorts of crevices and inside the handles, especially on multi-tools, you can't get in there and de-rust it yourself, or underneath parts that are tucked away in here. It's just not going to happen. So the Evaporust makes really short work of light rust happening in areas that are significantly hard to reach. So pro tip, clean your stuff with alcohol before using Evaporust. I did mine on the back end just because I'm kind of lazy and wanted to just plunk these in the drink and get the video going. But yeah, if you clean your tool before using Evaporust, it's going to be more effective and maybe even a little bit faster. As you can see, stuff like my plier jaws, still a little, gunky or whatever. But you can take something as simple as a toothpick and knock this stuff out. Yeah, not permanently bonded apparently. But yeah, a little bit unsightly. So, do what you want to do. If you want your tool to look super perfect, go ahead and clean it before you Evaporust, and then clean it afterward as well, because the Evaporust, trust me, is sticky and weird feeling. Let's talk about this right here. Here's the dual Phillips and flathead, and I think you can see exactly where it was in the tool. The flathead was sticking out and the Phillips was still inside the tool handle, and the Phillips has remained kind of rusty. If you want to de-rust this more, you could always put it in Evaporust separately, but this is probably clean enough for my needs. Here's the micro driver. I know it's hard to see. The lighting is really hard to adjust for this thing. It's tiny and black and not very detailed, but this should be usable. I know it's for like sunglasses and eyeglasses and stuff, so I will have to try it at some point. It's my only tool with a micro driver, so. And I can go ahead and use the steel brush on other parts of the tool as well, maybe the pivot area. Sorry, didn't mean to lean the tool on the table and create a lot more noise. Wood is a very resonant material, as I've found out working in a furniture repair shop. Sometimes you stroke a tool on a piece of wood and it just sings a weird melody to you. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. My most important factor here is whether or not it is functional, and it is indeed functional. It is not binding too badly at any given point. It feels a little bit stiff, but I think this tool is essentially not broken in. And the reason I think that is take a look at these blades. Right? That serrated edge is definitely factory. There's even a burr on it. And here's your plain edge blade. Do you see any nicks, cuts, wear on this blade? I don't. Yeah, it's almost shaving sharp. I mean, I had it dipped in liquid for a while, so who knows what that does to a blade edge. But yeah, for the most part, this wave just kind of needs some lube. Yeah, right there. This handle's a little bit sticky. All the rust that was in there is now just a black rust, so that's good. But yeah, needs some break-in, needs some TLC, but most of the hard work is done. So yeah, I'm going to recommend Evaporust for de-rusting your tools. It'll get you a good portion of the way there. Exhibit A would be our scissors. Exhibit B, I don't know, the rest of the tool. I know the saw had some corrosion. I don't see anything on it now. Yeah, there's a little bit here and there, but a livable amount if you're asking me, and not the red rust that kind of spreads out all over a tool. So there you have it, how to de-rust your tools. Thank you for joining me. I've been Joe. You've been watching Ink&Iron. For more content like this, as well as like fountain pens, EDC gear, typewriters, all that kind of thing. Stick around, like, sub, do the things, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.